All right. So as far as practicing today, Frank Clark won't practice. He's got a little bit of a swollen knee. Should be okay though as we go, but we'll rest him up today. And Schwartz is not going to practice. Likewise with the back. We do have Sherm back. He'll be out there. Sammy Watkins will get some work in, and we'll see how he does. And then Snead will also be out getting some work in. So we look forward to the challenge of playing the Panthers. Well-coached football team, good players, play aggressive, and we got to have a good week of practice. So that time's yours.
First is Sam Millinger. Good, Sam.
Hey, Andy. I'm curious with, the election day over, could you review for us just sort of how you guys handled that or discussed that internally? I mean, was it more informal, just players can talk about candidates or whatever amongst themselves? Did you guys ever do that as a team?
No. We just, I alerted them. First of all, they set it up. So with it being here, so they've been in touch with this, the whole training camp and so on. So that was kind of their baby right there, putting it together. So, so then I alerted them that they would have the day off, and not that they didn't know that, but they were going to have the day off, and and then we just went from there. Everybody do their business and take care of what they need to take care of.
Go next to Blair Kirchhoff. Go ahead, Blair.
Hey, Andy, and Brad, I'll have a quick follow-up for this, but we're getting a couple of first-year players today on the conference call, and I just was wondering if you could speak to the challenges first-year players in the NFL had this season because of the COVID restrictions and no preseason games.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's different. They came in without much other than like we're doing here. These were our meetings, and we'd put the play up on the screen and we'd talk about it, and we could show them video through the computer, and so that's what we did. But having run the play, that didn't take place. Normally you've got everything installed and you've run it before you get to training camp. That wasn't the case this offseason. So I was proud of the way they came in and attacked camp, and they didn't let any distractions get in the way of learning, and did a nice job with it.
And how about the value of having an experienced championship locker room to walk into for these guys?
Yeah, that helps. Well, it helps to have guys that are willing to share, and that's the most important thing. You can have the experienced locker room, but if nobody wants to give the young guys a helping hand, that's not real good either. So, but this crew here, they're willing to share and teach and kind of check their egos at the door on that.
Let's go next to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Specific to Martinez Rankin, that if my math is correct, this is the third week of the 21-day window since he returned to practice. What are you hoping to see out of him this week before making that determination and he is ready to come back to the active roster? Yeah,
so he's getting there. I mean, he's real close. And I think it's great the way this is set up, where he's got that time to get himself ready to go. I mean, he had no camp, and this is the first football he's had the last couple of weeks. So it's good for him to get in there and bang it around a little bit on the scout team. So that's what he's been doing.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good morning, Coach. One of the players we'll get today is Tershawn Wharton. And just speaking to the thought of undrafted players, and I don't do a ton of personnel work anymore, but just how difficult is it to get contributors that are undrafted from these smaller schools? And then Turk specifically, what have you seen that you liked?
Well, if you're going to get one, you get them from Missouri Science and Tech. I mean, come on, it's I think it's awesome for the area, for the school, university, and for the kid. I mean, he's done nothing but shut his mouth and work hard, and learn. And he's a smart kid, so good person, all that. He's done a real nice job.
Go next to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, I know you've talked a lot about how, every receiver, you want to be able to know every position, right? And so that's part of what they want. McCole Hardman's obviously having to move around. You mentioned Sammy getting a little bit of work. How difficult is that? I mean, I know that's what you want, but to actually, because of all the diversity in your offense, is that a 2-year deal, a 3-year? I mean, I'm sure every guy's similar, but how much better is McCole Hardman ready to move around this year versus last year?
Yeah, he does a great job. He knows every position. Real smart kid. I mean, he was smart last year too. We're getting him kind of caught up to the different fundamental techniques and all the coverages that you see. But he can play any position in there and knows them all and knows them well. So, and really the way Greg does it is, the guys have a position that they know, but they're different personnel groups, even within the 3 wide receiver scheme. So you've got to be flexible when where you move. One week might be the same play as the week before, but you're doing something different, and you're in just a different spot. So you got to have a pretty good grasp on things. You got to be able to get out of the huddle, and which becomes somewhat important. Not always accomplished, but somewhat important, and get lined up, and then know what you're doing in a short period of time.
Looks like we've got 3 more left. Let's go Adam, Darren, and then Matt. Go ahead, Adam.
Hi, Andy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple of your kids have connections to Matt Rule from when they were at Temple. Plus, for at least part of Matt's time at Temple, you were coaching down the street. So my question for you is, how well did you get to know Matt back then? And could you kind of see he was going places even back then?
Yeah, well, Britt worked with him and told me I need to hire him, and when I had a full staff, when it got time to hire him, he darted up to the Giants. And so he had an opportunity to go with Coughlin up there. And so Coach had him as a quality control coach, and he got, he did a nice job there. Then came back and became this head coach that really did a great job at all the stops in college. So, but I've had a chance to get to know him. And I think he does he's doing a great job now. I loved watching him at the college level, and he did a great job there too. So he's good for the National Football League. My youngest son had a chance to play for him too, so that was a plus.
Go next to Darren Smith. Go ahead, Darren.
Good morning, Coach. First off, first half of the season, has the team met your expectations on what you've expected with, COVID, lack of off-season stuff, practices and stuff like that? Have they met your expectations being 7-1? Then what are you looking forward to in the second half of the season? And then also, I know the NFL, the competition committee has talked about possibly expanding it to 16 teams, in case COVID rips up games later on the season. What are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, so listen, I'm proud of the guys just for how they're taking care of business. And I mean, are there going to be hiccups in the road? Yeah, absolutely. But, it's happening everywhere. So we get it. We're just trying to do the best we can do individually and collectively as a group. As far as expectation, we got to keep getting better as a team. But as far as doing the right things and working to that goal, they've been tremendous that way. So, and then I'm not sure exactly all the workings of how that's going to go with the extended season or the playoff, extended number of players, teams in the playoffs and all that. So, but whatever they do, we're going to be right there, with them and support them. So, I mean, that's we're all in this together, and the league's just trying to maneuver through a complicated situation and still give the fans a great show and at the same time keep the players safe, but giving them an opportunity to make a living doing what they love doing.
Go last to Matt Derrick.
Hey, Coach, Brett's talked about how Tershawn really got a chance to show himself at the Shrine Bowl, and there's been a lot of guys, and you worked with these college all-star games in the past. With the Shrine Bowl canceled this year, maybe some of the others up in the air, and just the contact with college kids this year limited, how tough is that going to be, to really kind of get to know those kids, and how do you feel for these kids that won't get a chance to prove themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it with the high schools. I've seen it with the colleges. That's a tough deal. They've worked so hard to get to this point, whether it's a high school kid just getting to a senior year and have an opportunity to play, and or go on to the college level. And then these college kids bust their tail, and there they have a chance to either finish up their senior year, junior year, or jump into the NFL. So, the more opportunity we have a chance to see the guys and meet them, talk to them, the more comfortable you are bringing them into your team. So without that, we'll have to find a different way to maneuver, I think.
All right, we'll start with Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Patrick, I'll kind of start you off with a fun question. There were a lot of people in both Clay County and Jackson County that wrote you in as president. So I just wanted to know if you had a slogan, what would your slogan be if you had that, and are you conceding the race officially? And also just recap Arrowhead Stadium, how the voting process went. I know you donated half of the money to get to that, how you feel it all went down, and going forward, since you're going to be here for 2 more election periods, how you feel that Arrowhead would be open for more elections in the future.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I mean, it's funny for sure. I mean, I think Arrowhead was ended up being a great spot for people to kind of come together, go out and get your vote, and be in a great place where it seemed like everything went smooth and it was ran well. And so super exciting, and hopefully that we can continue to do that. And obviously funny getting rid in and stuff like that, but that's not anywhere where I'm thinking right now. So maybe later on I'll think of a slogan or something like that.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good afternoon, Patrick. You're obviously a former MVP of this league and one of the features right now. Another guy coming in is Christian McCaffrey. I know it's the other side of the football, but as a fan of the game, what do you like that he brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that can do it all. I mean, he can catch the ball just as well as he runs the ball, and he runs the ball well. So he's someone that can really is a mismatch for defenses. He can run the ball between the tackles. He can have speed to beat on to win on the outside, and he can run routes just like a receiver. So a talented guy, and I'm excited to get to watch him play.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick. Last week, obviously, you hit Tyreek on a couple of deep passes, and that's something that hasn't been quite as open this year. Is that something you guys outwardly talked about, like, hey, be patient, that's coming, or was it just sort of understood that the way defenses are playing with you, you didn't really have to have that talk?
Yeah, I think it was more understood. I mean, we run the routes during every game where we have the opportunities to have these big plays. It's just we've been hitting the underneath guys instead just because of how the defense is presenting itself. And so for us, I'm going to try to do a good job of giving those guys opportunities downfield. And when the defense is going to really take it away, get it to the other guys underneath and let them make plays as well.
Let's go next to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Patrick. Congratulations on being the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. You've been that a few times in your career and twice this year. Does that carry any more meaning? I mean, you've won so many awards, but to be honored when you've had a great game, do you look at that as something that's pretty special?
Yeah, it is. I mean, anytime you're honored in a league like this with those Player of the Week, I mean, there's a lot of guys that had great weeks this week, and so that's special to me, and it's something that you have to really just you still take that same honor from the beginning to the end of your career because you know that they don't come all the time, and you have to really go out there and earn it every single week.
Let's go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick. I want to ask you with the election, at least the voting over, right? Did you guys, politics is such a divisive topic for a lot of people. Did you guys amongst the team, did you guys ever talk about like specific candidates or issues to vote for? Or was it more just like, hey, just go vote and what you do is what you do?
I think we talk about certain subjects. I mean, you have those conversations because you have people that come from all different backgrounds from different areas of the country. And so you definitely talk and listen and get different perspectives, but we try to keep it out of the politics being so divisive as it is. But we want to understand where everyone's coming from, no matter who you vote for.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Patrick, two quick questions kind of related. I'll give you the first one, and then if Brad, you let me just follow up. First of all, a lot of questions last week about the Jets and a look-ahead scenario, and obviously you guys passed that test with flying colors. Also seemed like maybe, and I remember you talking back at that first game on the road with no fans and how empty it was, how it took you a little time to get going. Have you guys, decided you got to get a little more animated? We saw you carrying Tyreek Hill, Tyreek's jumping into the stands. Is that one of the ways you guys are kind of creating that energy and emotion for yourselves, is just doing it with your own, interaction amongst the guys on the field?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. And I think we did that even before there wasn't fans in the stands. You have to enjoy playing this game. You have to love it. It's a long long season. You want to make sure that you have that same energy every time you step on that field. And so we enjoy going out there and being able to play this game together and go out there and have success doing it.
All right. And then the follow-up is, you'd been saying all along, right? They've been kind of taking the top off from you guys. You've been patient, taking what they're giving and all that. This game obviously looked like some of the, older games where you had a chance to do it. Is that something you guys needed to do, right? To know that it's there, just like a recent, for lack of a better term, muscle memory, that if you need to shoot it out, you've done that within the last 4 or 5 weeks and you can do it?
I never had any doubt that we were able to do it. So, I think for us, we were just trying to go out there, take what's there and score points. The defense has been playing their tail off, getting us the ball in great field position, and we're trying to capitalize on that as much as possible.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, you talked earlier about being able to get some big plays to Tyreek against the Jets. And you've also talked recently about having to be patient. How's Tyreek been through all this? Have you had to talk to him about staying patient, or has he had to talk to you about that? How's that part of it been?
I think he's been all about the process. He understands that when the opportunity comes, I'm going to give him a chance. And he usually makes the play when I give it in range for him to make a catch. And so he understands that. That's what's so special about our locker room is no one's trying to ask for the ball. No one's saying I need to get these catches or these run attempts. Everybody just wants to win, and they understand that they're going to get their shot, and when it does, they're going to capitalize on that opportunity.
Looks like we got one more hand up. We'll go last to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Patrick, I'm curious about, the swag surfing that was going on. Going to the fourth quarter. I get it's fun and it's a game and you're supposed to be having fun. I'm curious what you thought of it when you saw the guys out on the field of defense doing that. And conversely, how would you feel if you were on the other side, you were on offense and you saw the opposing defense doing that to you guys?
Yeah, to me, I think it was just our defense was out there having fun and a break during the game. And like you said, you just got to bring your own energy. You got to have fun, especially when there's not as many fans in the stands. And so I thought those guys were having a great time out there and playing some really good football. And so for me, if there's the other defense, I would just try to go score. That's all you can do in those moments, and you let your play talk in those moments.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we're going to get started with Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Tershawn, I think this is the first time we've talked to you in a little while, if it's since before season. So just what's the process been trying to get yourself immersed with the Chiefs defensively, the scheme, getting some play time, and also representing Missouri S&T, that small school factor, representing Missouri S&T into the league?
It's been good. Just going out there competing every day, getting my habits down of what I'm going to do each and every day and learning how to become a pro. That's really what it's been. And as far as making plays, Coach Spags put you in positions to where you make plays. So that's just been me playing off of technique.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
I want to ask you more about Steve Spagnuolo and this scheme. Why do you think it's a fit for what you do well?
So coming from S&T, I played in a 3-4, but we kind of played it in a different way. So where I'm playing at is kind of almost similar to what I did in college. It's just now I'm playing on a guard, and I'm not worried about the edge. So I think it let me use my size and strength in there to get under the bigger guys and let me just make plays that way.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Tershawn, I was curious about the sack that you had on Sunday, and you can kind of take us through it. And also specifically at the end, it looked like you were getting ready to be able to drive Darnold to the ground pretty hard, but maybe let him up. Was that just you heard the whistle and you didn't want to get the flag there?
Yeah. So the sack, it was the first one. So it's always good when you get the first one. We called something up front. And I just knew if I would have slammed him, it wouldn't have been good for the pocket. So I had to let up at the end.
Let's go next to Blair Kirchhoff. Go ahead, Blair.
Hey, Tershawn, Andy Reid said a little while ago regarding first-year players, rookies, that, having an experienced locker room, guys that have won championships has been, helpful to first-year guys, and a willingness to help, these older guys to help you. Can you share any of the experiences you've had with some of the veteran players helping you out?
Yeah. So, I'm in the room with a bunch of guys that then had success in the league, and not only success, like they're well known. So just being in there with Chris, Frank, and Mike Pennell, Nadi, all those guys with experience, they take me under their wing and pull me to the side when something going on and just tell me how to fix it. And I always just drive on that. And then knowing that they asking you to and pulling you to the side, they know that you have potential. So they just make sure that I'm on top of myself and they hold me to a high standard with the locker room. And then there's also, the back end guys, they trust me too. So, just worked out well.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Tershawn, when obviously you're coming from a small school and that has challenges in itself, but when training camp arrived, when did you know, was there a specific moment when you knew that you belonged?
I mean, when you get picked up, you feel like you belong automatically. And just going, you playing with champions, so competing every day, the more and more I made a few plays in training camp, I realized like, oh, I could do this. Like it raised your confidence. When Kelechi was here, working with him a lot, seeing him every day, that really helped out a lot. He aggressive. So when I was able to start winning and having a few reps on him and able to see the film, it made me just arrive a little bit.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tershawn, I have 2 questions for you. So to start, can you explain what the feeling was for you on opening night as a rookie without preseason games, and then what the feeling was Sunday at the halfway point of your rookie season? And then, Brad, I'll have a follow-up.
The opening night, we played Tershawn Wharton, so, it was something that was different. I had never seen this many people before. When we came out and was standing out there and came back in the locker room and everybody started yelling, I was like, oh, I never heard nothing like this before. And, I had some jitters in me a little bit, and then once I calmed down in the game, it started helping me. And then from halftime the other night, it was just like, it just finally everything is starting to slow down for me. It's still some things that you just got to work into, but it just slowed down. Now it's starting to slow down for me.
And then secondly, what would you say has been your most memorable message that you've received from somebody at Missouri S&T about the way you've played so far this season?
I have a lot of supporters from S&T, so just the way that they follow me, really, like as far as people, parents, my teammates' parents, as well as my teachers, they all reach out to me through either email or so. Just really, they just telling me keep going, and just never get complacent. Just keep fighting, and they just want to see me do this for a long time.
Let's go last to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tershawn, when you're at Missouri S&T, obviously it's not the conventional route to get to the NFL, and I'm sure you're aware of that while you're there. What sort of was the NFL though still in your mind when you're there, and what sort of obstacles did you feel like you knew you were going to have to sort of hurdle to get here?
Oh yeah, so like you said, it's not the way to go, and it was always the plan. It was always a childhood dream, and just being there, I knew I would have to work harder. As far as not just not saying anything bad about my coaches, but I just knew a different level of coaching was out there. So I took a few steps of going out and finding training myself and just pushing myself through the off season. Because at that level, people don't really push themselves through the off season. So I just pushed myself through the off season, reaching out to different trainers and making sure that I was going to be able to compete not only at my level, but if I did get talent in front of me that was higher, I could compete with them as well.
All right, we'll start with Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Clyde, a couple of weeks ago when after Le'Veon Bell signed, Eric Bieniemy was saying that it was an opportunity for you to learn from him and have him sort of serve as a mentorship role. So what is the biggest thing that you've picked up from him over these last couple of weeks?
The biggest thing is just how we practice. And honestly, Le'Veon came in and he's he just brought in a different little pep. And it's always just extra competition in the room. Once you get an extra person in the room, it kind of up tempos the competition. So ultimately, just the way we compete, day in and day out, we off the field friends, but on the field, you still doing anything in our power to get on the field and compete.
Let's go next to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Clyde. You've had the chance now to work with this offense and Patrick Mahomes. he was just named the Offensive Player of the Week, but what impresses you working with a quarterback like him? How has he helped you elevate your game to this level?
Ultimately, the most simple thing that can come to mind is poise. Just the way everything is handled in tight situations, and ultimately keeping a poker face and then understanding everything that we have called, he has called, and just understanding the concept of what we have called.
Herbie, I think I'm going to cut you off there. I think you had a follow-up. Go ahead.
Hey, Clyde, back to Le'Veon. And Eric also mentioned that he reached out to you before he signed. What did it mean to you when Bell did reach out to you and let you know that he was coming here?
Ultimately, it was just it's a respect thing, and that's kind of like a man-to-man thing. So honestly, straightforward, it's just respect.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Clyde, I know you talked about learning the concepts early on, back before the season even got started, right? And you kind of touched on that a little bit earlier on things. How overall do you think it's going as far as you in the passing game, right? And understanding your role, all the roles. I know it's so many dominoes kind of fall on each other where your role isn't just about you, it's some of the other things you got to understand that are going out there. Where do you feel you are in the passing and the blocking side of things for the running back position?
Right now, I feel like ultimately we're right on schedule. As far as talking to Coach EB and Coach Reid, is nothing negative being said. It's ultimately just this game and being in the NFL, everything is week to week. So every week just finding that those three things to get better at, and those are always up there for me as far as pass game and just understanding my role and my concept. If it's a week, that ultimately the running back has his 111th, and I go out and do my job in the passing game.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Clyde, I was wondering if you could share maybe the advantages and perhaps some disadvantages of being in a rotation rather than maybe where you were getting 65, 70% of the snaps.
Ultimately, advantage is fresh legs and just being able to always be fresh on the field when you're in. And I mean, as far as being a running back, disadvantage is I would probably just say groove, and that's probably with every back. Just finding a groove to get in. But getting in when a person's number is called, and ultimately we're pros. So executing when your number is called and being able to work with the opportunities that you get.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Clyde. Obviously, most Chiefs fans are aware of you being the top pick in the draft this year. But I wanted to ask you about Tershawn Wharton, a guy who was not drafted. But what's it been like to get to know him from training camp on, and just to see the success that he's having on the other side of the ball?
He does. It seems like he does everything right. And he's probably one of the hardest working guys that came in. So he's very respectable. Does everything he's asked to do. And once you do that, and you're a person who's all the way bought in, you ultimately see the results coming. And right now, he's enjoying it, and everything he's doing is working out for him.
We've got two left. Let's go Adam and then Steve. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Clyde. Pretty soon you'll be getting to the point where you would have played a full college season, and you might have 10 or 12 games left in this season. I'm just curious how you're feeling physically and how you're doing with the mental grind that you need to get through a full NFL season.
Right now, ultimately, I can say that I haven't been in the training room this season yet. So everything is as far as the things that I do to keep my body healthy, I feel like it's working so far. Mentally, I just feel like I've only pretty much scratched the surface of what I can possibly get done and what this team can possibly get done. Is everything is so fast and week to week. It still doesn't feel like as long as a college season, just because of how the NFL works. So I'm fine.
Go last to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Clyde. You talked about competing with the guys in the running back room, but in a way, you're also competing with the other running backs in the league. Being ranked number 3 in rushing yards in the league, do you look at those numbers at all? And if you do, how motivating is that for you?
The times that I look at it is the times that it just kind of just pops up on my feed. It's not something that I go out and actively look for, but when you do see it, you know, if you're not in this game for a competition, it's kind of like why are you doing it? So yeah, I look at it and I know it's a competition, but it's not something that I'm forcing. It's if it comes to me and I'm able to run the ball and have the game, have a great game, then so be it, and then we flush it and move on to the next week. That's just what it is.